Welcome back, everyone, to the Queen of TV channel. Before we get started, let's get these three things out of the way first. First, there will be cursing and profanity. If that's not your cup of tea, this channel is probably not for you. Second, please watch to the end. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Third thing, yes, I will be giving my absolute honest opinion uh, on the episode and on the show overall. Now, into our intro. Welcome, everyone. I am your queen, the host herself, and you are the prince and princesses. You're either a subscriber or a viewer. Either way, welcome. Today, we'll be talking about H2O Season 1, Episode 5, Something Fishy. We start this episode off with seeing Emma and Lewis at Mako Island. Lewis is helping them still with trying to find out what happened to them and how they became mermaids. Emma directs him towards the cave dwelling that Cleo had fallen down into back in episode 1. While they're talking, Emma is telling Lewis to be careful, but Lewis not listening to her and bragging about being an expert scientist ends up falling down. Now, he is okay. He didn't end up getting his leg sprained like Cleo did. There's flies flying around, by the way. That's why I'm like moving my hand and stuff. But he did find out before he fell down that he could have gone through the entrance underwater. Now, the reason why Emma tells him that wasn't a good idea is because he has to go down 50 meters without coming up for air. So, he decides to go the other route on land. She meets him down there by going through the underwater entrance, and he lets her know that he's got to test all the rocks, the water itself, and the magnetic pull of the moon. Spoiler alert, Lewis does not find anything wrong with the island. It is normal. That is because the power is only active during the full moon, so he wasn't able to discover anything. While that is going on, Kim is looking for Cleo. Her mother assumes that Kim wants to spend time with Cleo. Kim says no, she just wants to borrow her clothes, aka steal them. Kim goes in Cleo's room without permission and she finds Cleo's diary. Now, obviously at this point, Cleo is 15 years old, so it makes sense that she would have a diary. I used to have a diary when I was in middle school, but once you reach a certain age, you kind of get bored with having diaries, so they just become straight up meal plans. They don't become anything that you keep your deep dark secrets unless you're going through some mental issues. But back into the episode. When Kim finds a diary, it is a bunch of drawings and images of mermaids and them using their powers. So Cleo obviously created this diary to talk about her secret life. This is another hint that Cleo has not really fully got over the fact that she can't be a normal girl. So this diary is therapeutic for her. She is writing down her issues and her problems. But it becomes a bigger problem when her sister finds it and now suspects that Cleo is a mermaid. Cleo is not home because she is at the Juice Net Cafe with Rikki, and they see a pamphlet for the Miss C Queen pageant. And Rikki hates the idea because she finds it sexist. Now, Rikki is no girly girl. Rikki is more of a tomboy. She does not understand why a bunch of girls would be dressing up to show off how beautiful they are. Now, what Ricky's thinking is that this is like a regular beauty pageant. She's not realizing this is a beauty pageant about dressing up like sea creatures. So she's expecting there to be cleavage, makeup, and just over round girls trying to make themselves look sexy in front of a bunch of guys. That is not the case. Miriam shows up with Tiffany and gives Rikki a look, asking her if she's really fin to enter into the beauty pageant. Rikki says she'd rather die. Cleo is excited about the pageant though and might have an idea of wanting to join. But Miriam tries to shut that down as she believes she's going to win because she has an affinity with the sea. Cleo almost gets upset, and Rikki has to shut her up when Cleo tries to say that she does not have the affinity with the sea. Cleo does because she is a mermaid. Before she can say mermaid, Rikki kicks her. Next time that Cleo sees Miriam and Tiffany, it is at her job at the marine park. Cleo is no longer feeding dolphins. She has been promoted to the ice cream cart. Miriam tells Cleo to surprise her with whatever flavor they got. Basically, that's customer service for saying, what's your best-selling item? While that is happening, Miriam is still talking about the pageant, and Cleo rightfully brings up what would happen if, Tiffany wins, because Tiffany is also in the pageant as well. Well, Miriam says that Tiffany might get runner-up, which obviously bothers Tiffany, but she doesn't say anything because obviously they did not give Tiffany any personality. That's the show's fault. I'm not blaming the character, I'm blaming the show. Well, Miriam leaves after constantly making snide comments towards Cleo. Cleo's boss, Mrs. Getty, show up and ask Cleo if she wants to help because they are short-staffed for the pageant. Well, Cleo says that she can't because she decided to enter into the pageant, which Mrs. Geddes is happy for her. Cleo gets home to let her mother know that she needs her help to teach her how to sew, something that her mother has always wanted to do, but Cleo obviously wasn't into that, but now she needs her help with it. She tells her mother that they won't be able to do it right now because she has to clean out her fish tank. Kim follows Cleo upstairs to her room later on and is listening on the door. Not able to hear anything, Kim just walks in without knocking. Cleo is in there cleaning the inside of her fish tank while she's using her powers to lift the fish inside the water up in the air. When Kim asks Cleo why she doesn't want her in her room, Cleo lets her sister know because she's annoying. This is when Kim catches on and asks what happened to the fish. Cleo has to improvise so Cleo doesn't find out. Kim doesn't find out. Sorry. Well, she lies and tells Kim that the fish are in the bathtub. While Kim is looking in the bathtub, she comes back and finds the fish in the fish tank and Cleo cleaning the outside of it. Cleo does not catch on to why Kim even came into her room because it's not so obvious. Well, it becomes obvious later on. When Kim does bring up the fact that the fish were not in the bathtub and she thought that's what Cleo said they were, Cleo lies and says that she didn't mean bathtub, she meant bucket. So she gets away with that. Later on, while Cleo is actually doing her homework, her mom is cleaning the table and ends up bumping the glass of water sitting next to Cleo, getting Cleo's hand wet. Cleo has to run to the bathroom and Kim follows behind her. Kim the whole time was reading Cleo's diary beforehand, pretending like she was reading a book earlier. She's able to catch Cleo in her mermaid form. Well, in reality, she saw Cleo's tail before she is able to shut the bathroom door. Kim runs to Elliot, telling him about Emma and Cleo and Rikki being mermaids. Elliot does not believe her, saying that their family does not keep secrets. As a result, they see that Emma is drinking a water bottle with a straw inside of it, and Kim questions that. Why would she need to have a straw when drinking out of a water bottle? Elliot kicks Kim out. He ends up believing her as well because, well, while he was taking a shower, he was using all the hot water and Emma was telling him to hurry up. Emma accidentally used her powers when she rested her hand on the side of the baseboard. That in return froze the water inside the pipes, causing complete straight ice coming out of the shower head. Elliot comes out freezing and shivering, goes to Kim and tells her that now he believes her. Kim hatches a plan that Elliot needs to splash water on Emma to see if she's a mermaid. Well, Emma catches Elliot and Elliot spills the beans. This is where Emma confronts Cleo. Cleo, believing that her diary is still in her closet because she's never thought to check, realizes that it is missing. So now they're in big trouble. Lewis is at the Juice Neck Cafe when the three of them are talking, and across from them is Miriam and Tiffany. Lewis is looking up stuff about mermaids, and Kim and Elliot do show up, and Cleo wants to confront Kim, but they have to be smart about this because they actually have to prove that they're wrong, or they're not going to leave them alone. They call Lewis over, and Kim believes that Lewis is also a merman. So all four of them hatch a plan to make it seem like Miriam is also a mermaid, because you know that whole comment about her having an affinity with the sea. They pretend to be friendly with her, and Miriam doesn't buy it for a second, telling them to leave. They do, and Lewis clicks off of the computer, where Miriam gets suspicious and sees that Cleo is trying to be a mermaid. No, she's not. Kim and Elliot also see this and believe that Miriam is the leader, because Kim can tell that Miriam is always the leader, which the leader of what? Like, the only friend we see her hang out with is Tiffany. So they follow Miriam and Tiffany around. They do get caught, and Miriam threatens the two of them. The girls decide they have to make it seem like that Miriam is the one that has powers. So Rikki volunteers and use her powers to make it seem like Miriam has the ability to disappear behind a cloud of smoke. Kim has a plan that at the pageant, which is where Miriam and Cleo would be, is where they need to get them completely wet, and they're going to use a water hose to do so. So they hatch their plan, and the pageant starts. Everyone is dressed up like starfish, coral, all kind of sea creatures. I think Tiffany is supposed to be like a starfish version of the Lady Liberty. And Miriam comes as a mermaid. Well, Cleo doesn't. Cleo shows up as a jellyfish. She calls it another name, but I'm not going to be able to say it because I won't do it any justice. But she's a jellyfish. Miriam is completely shocked because she thought Cleo was supposed to be a mermaid, but Cleo said no, she was not. So Miriam knows she's been tricked. Matter of fact, Miriam's is better dressed because she actually had it tailored instead of making it herself. But you know what? Money can buy you anything if you're rich. That's when they start hatching their plan. Now, Emma and Rikki is also there. Rikki cannot believe that this is what the pageant turned out to be, and she don't want to be there, and Emma's telling her that she needs to be supportive. To be fair, Ricky's right. This pageant is very boring. That's when Elliot turns on the water, and everyone on stage gets soaked. But with a split second, Cleo ends up using her powers and stopping the water from hitting her. She's able to block it off. When he turns the water off, Kim runs on stage claiming that there's mermaids on stage at the Gulf Coast. Well, she's incorrect, because everybody in there thinks she's crazy, so she decides to rip up Miriam's costume, wondering why it's tearing, because Miriam tells her it's a costume. Kim realizes that she has fucked up. So she tries to back away while Miriam is trying to grab her. Miriam misses her balance and falls over. Luckily, she's all right, but everybody else is laughing at her because she's humiliated. About the competition, long story short, Tiffany won. Because she was either a starfish pretending to be Lady Liberty or she was actually Lady Liberty. What that has to do with the ocean? I mean, the statue is standing around water, so I'm guessing it counts. So Tiffany beat her. I'm glad. Because who the hell gonna tell somebody you get the runner-up option? No, baby, I get first place trophy. Cleo has to talk to Kim, and she lies to Kim that they were doing a project on the Little Mermaid, which makes sense. The Little Mermaid is about a mermaid. And that the tail that she saw in the bathroom was actually a costume. Kim lets it go and then makes a snide comment that because Cleo can't swim, she couldn't possibly be a mermaid. Kim obviously does not know how being a mermaid works. The episode ends with them going out to Mako Island. Like I said previously, Lewis did not find anything. They are still worried about the diary, but they don't have to because Cleo pulls a Gracie and ends up leaving it at the bottom of the ocean. Why this diary never got founded after that doesn't make sense to me because the diary can't be traced back to Cleo. I don't think Cleo's name was actually on the diary, so it's not like anybody could be like, oh, this diary used to belong to an actual mermaid. No, they'll probably think like it's a made-up children's book. But that's how the episode ends. So what's my review on it? I feel like I kind of understand why Kim and Cleo don't have a good relationship because their relationship is actually complicated and difficult. Well, I believe it's because Kim is more materialistic, meaning she would be like a possible gold digger when she grows up because she's so used to getting what she wants, and that makes sense because she's the youngest. While Cleo actually has to work for what she's got. So, in all fairness, and this is me judging fictional characters, not real life people, be fair here. I do not believe that Kim will have successful relationships going forward in her adulthood. While it makes sense that Cleo only ever had one relationship her entire life, so it makes sense that that relationship will be a long-standing one. As for this episode not involving too much of Lewis and Rikki, I'm fine with that too, because obviously this episode was about Cleo, basically, and Kim, for that fact. I do like the trick that they pulled, that effect with what Rikki did with drying that pool of water around that water hose and having it made it seem like Miriam actually disappeared because due to the smoke, we can't really see her shadow walking off. We just believe that she's disappeared in a cloud of smoke. Great effect from the girls. Also, Elliot snitched. Like, he snitched. There is no way he could have kept that in. The fact that he didn't tell Kim that he'd already told Emma everything and she just believed that they were clueless about them knowing is wild to me because he already let the cat out the bag. So they were prepared. I'm guessing he forgot. And it didn't seem like he fully believed her anyway. And that he might have been willing to just write it off as nothing. But man, is that crazy. Now, on my previous time viewing this, I was upset at Cleo for even writing that diary to begin with because she damn near exposed a secret. In all honesty, though, it's not like that diary can be proven by anything. And it makes sense that it was a kid that found this diary, because let's be fair here. I'm not saying that children are liars and that nobody believes children, because there are people that do believe children. But I feel like having that diary was not a real threat, because you could point it out that Cleo obviously is a dreamer and she has all these mermaid fantasies, and you can just paint it as that, a fantasy. People like Kim and other characters that we'll see in future seasons would probably believe that, if they knew anything about mermaids and actually believed in that type of stuff, would actually believe that Cleo is a mermaid. But unless it's those people and children, no. There's no way anybody would say, oh, that means Cleo's a mermaid. There's no way. Because you don't even see her swim. It would explain why she doesn't touch water, but you wouldn't have any concrete evidence that that was actually true, because you'd have to physically see that. And just throwing water on someone is somewhat of a form of a assault. So, she can cry out, you just try to attack me with some water for no reason or whatever. And why I'm saying it's like a form of assault, because apparently if you have like a drink in your hand and you throw it on someone, that's considered assault. I do not know how that's considered assault besides you actually physically hitting somebody, but okay, I guess. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. Again, everything's looking up. Good episode. Pretty funny too. Like the fact that Tiffany won after Miriam tried to say she was a runner up is like an FU to Miriam. Well, she can't blame nobody but herself. But I hope you guys have a blessed day, a wonderful day. And if no one has told you this at all today, I'm telling you, I love you. I'll see you guys in the next one. But you already know. We'll be back again. Bye, guys.